So this one's probably a bit of an unorthodox video for us, but we were talking about it and we decided that we're going to record a top 10 of the decade. So let's preface right away, this is not just going to be us taking our number ones from every year and putting them in an order. Some years had better movies than other years. So like I, for example, have like one year that has like 3 entries.
Yeah, I have the same exact mentality of
Yep.
list.
Yep.
I think we all have that in a similar sense.
So from 2010 to 2019, we're going over 10 movies that we think are some of the best films of those years. And honestly, this was a tough list to make.
It really was.
Holy shit, I didn't realize how much great stuff came out in the 2010s.
Yeah, and it's also a few on this list that we've already talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
Not necessarily today, but like
In our
general.
past
In our
time.
past,
Yeah,
so we're gonna
that's
expand
true.
those a little
Yeah,
bit.
Gemini Man. So my number 10 is Looper, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. I love sci-fi. I love time travel. I love Rian Johnson. So a sci-fi, Rian Johnson time travel film works for me. I don't mind that there's some leaps in logic with the actual like mechanics of the time travel. It just works for me, and I think it's a really good character study. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of my favorite actors, and honestly, my biggest gripe with this movie is the fact that his character is named Joe.
That's very funny, actually.
Yeah.
You don't like when actors are named their
I
character?
hate that shit. Like, change the name of the character, please.
It's like if Keanu Reeves' real name was John, I would fucking despise him.
Probably.
All of his movies are just gone.
I have my number 10 as Blind Spotting. My number 1 from last year. So that's how you know last year was really good. No, last year was really good. But I feel like out of all of the films on my list, this one, they're all 10s for one. They're all amazing movies.
I agree, actually.
But it's just that this movie was amazing. I love this movie. It has so much relevant commentary presented in such an interesting way that I was just... it's right in my heart. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It hits you really, really hard.
It does.
Yeah.
My number 10 is The Lighthouse. I'm going to preface this. The only reason this is number 10 is because I have a policy where I rewatch a movie before I put it higher on a list. But as of right now, I'm putting in the lowest possible part of this list. I think this is a bona fide masterpiece. I want to watch it again really bad to start analyzing more of it. It's not in theaters anymore. You can't really find it online. I want to find like a good version of it. I want to sit down and want to analyze it again. Everything that we were talking about in that 20-minute discussion is only like a fraction of the questions I have about this movie. And for that reason alone, and also Willem Dafoe saying anything on screen.
Why'd you spill your
Why'd you
beans?
spill your beans, Thomas? Oh my god, it's so fucking good. So that 10 right now on the list.
This is a interesting case for me. I have 2 directors on this list who are here twice.
Okay.
And we're going to start with this one, Snowpiercer. The world that this film builds is phenomenal. I am enthralled with every scene, and there is an A-list fucking cast in this movie. Chris Evans, Tilda Swinton, Jamie Bell, Gary Oldman or John Hurd, I don't remember. Either way,
An old guy.
that guy. Fantastic movie. Bong Joon-ho. I'm probably pronouncing that very wrong because I'm an American.
Said in Glorious Bastards, right?
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. He's great, honestly. Like, he's been really coming around to just being one of the best fucking people in the world. So, yeah, Snowpiercer. Holy shit, everyone needs to watch this movie. It's a great post-apocalyptic movie.
2017. Really, really good year for movies. My number 2 that year was my number 9, and it's Get Out. I love Get Out. It is so weird and freaky and just so well made. It's a directorial debut that is so well made that everything he touches, I want to go watch. And it is just absolutely phenomenal. From the cinematography to the acting, Daniel Kaluuya is wildly talented. I just love this movie so much. It is a trip from start to finish.
So my number 9 is The Avengers, the first one. It is the second best superhero movie ever made. Dark Knight is 2008, just barely came out of the range for this list. I wanted to put Dark Knight on this list, but I couldn't. But I wanted to put a lot of 2000s movies on this list anyway. The Avengers, the first one, sets so much precedent up with the MCU. This is the movie that now every movie wants to be. Not even superhero. Every movie that is a big, successful, big budget franchise wants this. Even Avengers sequels want this, and some achieve. I'd say Endgame achieves. But as far as what makes the perfect money-making, fan-beloved movie, it's not Star Wars anymore. Star Wars used to be it. It's not. Now it's Avengers. This movie, there's a reason for that. It's more than just spectacle. It's more than just character. It's more than just fun. It's more than just humor. It's more than just that. It's everything I'm saying and then more. Everything this movie tries to do, it succeeds wildly. And a lot of this is built on the backs of the origin movies, of course. But it's this movie in particular that established everything that's come prior after 2012. We live in a post-Avengers era right now. And that's hugely influencing all of our culture. So, in that sense, number 9.
So my number 8 has already been talked about, surprisingly enough. It's Blindspotting. So I just graduated college, and I wrote a thesis essay to graduate, obviously. And my paper was on representation in film, and one of the films I talked about, among others, was Blindspotting. And writing a paper about Blindspotting made me appreciate the movie infinitely more. Like, I was writing about scenes, and I would talk about the nuance of the scene, and I would get to the end of the paragraph, and then I'd reread it and be like, holy shit, did I just realize that as I was writing it? That's so fucking clever and smart and well done. Like, half of my essay is dedicated to talking about Blindspotting. I remember when the Oscars for this year got announced, like, talking about the 2018 Oscars,
Yep.
we were all just blown away that there was nothing for Blindspotting.
And on top of that, they had conversations at the Academy for Blindspotting with all of the cast and directors.
And they played clips from it during the opening sequence. Yep. I remember that happened. We were at my house watching the Oscars, and that happened, and we all, like, sat up, and we were like, what the fuck?
That's salt on the wound.
Yeah, but Black Panther Best Picture.
Yeah, right? Vice, Best Picture.
Oh my god.
Fucking
ridiculous.
Blindspotting is nowhere on there. That's bullshit.
It was horse shite.
So that's my number 8.
Fair enough.
My number 8, so I think I only shared directors once, and it's because I love Edgar Wright. Baby Driver's amazing. The visual style in the movie, how almost every single little thing lines up with the music. That opening scene alone puts it on this fucking list, for one. And it is fun, action-packed. The car stunts are really, really, really cool. The acting's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal movie by my favorite director, whose style I absolutely love. And this movie is so full of that style. I just can't get enough of it.
Nice. Fair enough. My number 8 is a movie called Ex Machina. It is one of 2 movies from 2015 that I have on here. Oscar Isaac and some guy whose name I forget play the leads.
I think it's Donald Gleason.
Maybe. You might be
He's
right.
Hux.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, then that makes more sense.
You're welcome.
And then Alicia Vikander is the robot.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a simple premise, and it revolves around themes of, like, AI and what is intelligence and the Turing test and stuff like that. It is so simple of a movie, and it's shot for a really cheap budget, and it's done masterfully. I fucking love it. I can watch this movie over and over again until the day I die. I think it has a lot to say about human culture and where we're going as a species, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really excited to see other people's reactions to this. I would love to, like, sit down with you guys, even though you probably either have already seen it or not.
My number 7 position is the beginning of my director crossover part 2. It's also my favorite director, full stop, because every movie he makes, I love. I'm talking about his 2017 film, Dunkirk.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, this movie was an experience in the theater. I felt the same claustrophobia and fear that the characters feel when Gibson is drowning underwater in the dark. I had a full body convulsion because that is 2 of my biggest fears right there mixed into one. It's so effective. I love the time play. I love the realism of it. And I'm also just a big sucker for based on true story movies. And the Dunkirk Miracle is probably one of my favorite historical events. It's wild what happened during those few days of the evacuation. And I think Christopher Nolan captured it perfectly in just the desperation of these men to get off of that beach and get away from the Germans was amazingly executed. And I think the story of how the boats of England sailed across the channel to pick up their soldiers was beautiful. I think the ending's great when they get back to England and they get a hero's welcome when they feel like such failures. It's fucking Harry Styles is in this movie, and he's great. Harry Styles needs to be in more stuff.
My number 7 pick is possibly one of the best horror films ever created, A Quiet Place.
Mm.
And I can say that with full unbridled confidence, because even if the end is a little campy and weird, the ambiance that this movie sets up is what the genre should be. It shouldn't be "Bah!" and shitty jump scares. It should be this real, visceral horror. The monster is terrifying. You know how often we make sounds all the fucking time, whether it's inadvertent or on purpose. And this movie, with its concept and the acting, is terrifying from the start, and it is terrifying the whole time. It sets up this entire thing where you don't even want to make a noise in the theater.
Oh my god, that was a great showing we saw.
It was absolutely terrifying, especially when she steps on the nail. Ugh. But you don't want to make a noise, so like it is just absolutely gripping. And this is my least favorite genre of movie, and this movie is the best, one of the best examples. If I'm trying to say, oh, good horror movies that have come out, this is where I would go first, probably.
Fair, that's totally understandable. Number 7 for me would have to be a movie called The Social Network. This movie is phenomenal. I know I've said that a lot, but it is. It takes something that I'm inherently not interested in, which is Mark Zuckerberg's life as a Facebook guy.
As a lizard.
Yeah, exactly. Versus two guys who are twins. Now, you take a premise like this, you pump it with talent, you get one of the best directors alive, I'll hold true to that, and you have a killer script. It should be a good movie. It's not. It's not even a great movie. It's a fucking phenomenal masterpiece movie. This movie is what other movies that are also biopics should strive to be. It's not the most accurate with the portrayals of characters, and that works to the movie's benefit because now it's enhanced. If he had played Jesse Eisenberg, if he had played like Mark Zuckerberg accurately, which is just a guy who kind of talks like this sometimes. You know,
Actual lizard man.
actual lizard.
Actual lizard.
Mark Zuckerberg. Doesn't matter. If he plays it like that, you lose that intimidation factor.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the way he plays it now is like a methodical, evil mastermind. And he doesn't start out as evil, but he starts out as methodical and kind of antisocial, and he grows into that position. And we see this, I can't even call it descent. We see this ascent of a man as he conquers that part of the like online sphere. And it's so gripping, and I implore everyone in the world to watch this movie at least once.
All right, so number 6, I'm completing the double down on Bong Joon-ho with this. It's Parasite.
Ah, yes.
Jesus fucking Christ, Ian, go watch Parasite.
I want to. I was going to watch it yesterday, and I didn't go home.
I want to talk about this movie so much. Yeah. And I already used Jessica's little chant, so I don't know what else I'm going to use to review this other than Parasite is a masterpiece, and it absolutely deserved to sweep the Palme d'Or. And that's it. That's
it's definitely going to win Best Foreign Film.
Yes, 100%. It's like
it's going to Roma last year.
It's the Roma of this year.
I don't understand why they contend Roma in a Best Foreign Language if it's nommed for Best Picture. Why would it not
obviously
win for Best
win?
Yeah, like it.
Like if someone else wins in Best Foreign,
Imagine
then Roma shouldn't be nominated.
Imagine if Roma won Best Picture and lost Best Foreign Picture.
That
I would have
make any
peed.
sense.
Yeah.
Logically, that makes no sense.
Logically, I
don't
agree.
understand that.
Sorry, we're on number 6. So, I can't lie. My number 6 probably should be 10 or 9. But for the exact reasons that you said, it was on your list. Avengers is on my list. It's literally revolutionary. It is what changed the film industry, I feel. This movie brought upon the age of billion-dollar films every 3 seconds.
Yep.
Star Wars, 1977 Star Wars, the entire way we watch movies. Every single company is like, what can I do to make an Avengers universe? They're all scrambling around to make a competent thing at all, and they're failing most of the time. But this movie is a fun, well-made romp based off of the things that came before. But it's great. It's amazing. It's what got me more into movies when I was younger, was a movie like this, where it was just a lot of fun, and it was the stuff I cared about. And it has a little bit of nostalgia for me, even though it's only been 7 years. I wasn't a big movie guy when I was a little bit younger, and this helped change that and swap it around, and it revolutionized the whole way that the industry thinks, and I think that's too important not to have as like a top 10 of the decade.
Number 6, Dope, my other 2016 movie. This movie is by Rick Famuyiwa. He has made some of the best episodes of Mandalorian. I want to see more of his movies. I think I've only really seen.
He was supposed to do Flash,
He
right?
was supposed to do Flash. He was one of the guys in line to direct Flash. He was like the third guy. Now they're on like their 10th guy. It doesn't matter. It's not
coming out.
Yeah, who cares? But Dope is the reason that anything with his name on it, I automatically get excited. He knows how to handle a story like this. There are so many really good twists during this movie, but the movie always stays on track and it never kind of loses the plot. What really drives it home is how much you relate to the main character and what he's going through. And I haven't seen it in a hot minute. I really want to think back on more like little nuances, but there are so many teeny little details. Like his opening, he's trying to write a thesis paper, I believe, and it's
That's a
a
mood.
contextual analysis of what Ice Cube's "Good Day" is.
I
Something
love
like
that shit.
based on the song. And he kind
That
of goes
sounds
into,
like something one of us would write.
yeah. It's
I have looked into it. It's so good.
It's so funny. But there are a bunch of little like teeny gags like that you wouldn't really notice at first, and everything that happens on screen is just. I'm just in bliss when I watch it. I fucking love it. So it's number 6.
Mm-hmm. So we're onto the top half of the top 10.
Top tier, baby.
So obviously, as you guys have made it clear,
Mm-hmm.
this has been the decade of the superhero movie.
Fair.
And me being the Ryan Johnson loving bastard that I am, I'm all about that sweet, sweet trope subversion.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 5, Logan.
Ah.
From the trailer of this movie, the trailer that plays Johnny Cash is hurt. I was involved. I was all about it. I saw it in theaters and it blew my mind. The character work that goes into this movie is phenomenal. Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart are amazing. The fact that Patrick Stewart did not get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor in the movie,
Fucking crime.
fucking crime. It's underrated in that regard. The acting in this movie, I can't say enough good things about it. It's a Western. It's a true blue Western. And that's not something we get a lot of these days. All the Westerns have to be, like, kooky and crazy and cowboys and aliens.
Yep.
But this is just that stripped down, man on a journey, Clint Eastwood style story that I just soak right up. And it's a character that we've been following for 17 years. And there's not a single scene in this movie wasted.
I agree completely with a lot of things you're saying.
I agree as well. No, it's not on my list, but I definitely agree with
It's
you.
fine. Avengers isn't on my list.
So my number 5, I could have just put 2014 on this list, honestly, but I tried not to do that.
I'm the same way with 2017.
Nightcrawler.
I love Nightcrawler.
I watched this movie with you.
Yeah, you did.
This movie is just a slow descent into madness featuring Jake Gyllenhaal, and it is amazing. He goes from it's just regular dude that wants to be someone and have anything really, because he doesn't really have much at the beginning of the movie, to this sociopathic journalist almost, and it is brilliant. The end of I don't want to spoil it. The ending twist, not even twist because it's very well set up, is just vicious. It is absolutely, completely beautifully done. I think about this movie very, very often. I've only seen it that one time with you. And it's just, I recommend this movie to people. I'm like, you like weird shit? Watch this. This is a strange movie about a strange dude that just gets so gripping and horrifying. It's like watching a train wreck, but in the most beautiful way of, I just can't look away from this slow descent into chaos. Complete and utter chaos. Jake Gyllenhaal, this is my favorite role he's ever been in. This is his best movie to me.
I'm inclined to agree. This is the movie for me because he's not on my list, but I want to talk a little bit about that too. Prior to that movie, I'd seen Jake Gyllenhaal in things like Brokeback Mountain. He's a good actor. I've always known him as that.
You see Donnie Darko before this?
I have seen Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
He's really
Donnie
good in
Darko
that.
slaps.
It's amazing. But Nightcrawler to me is the movie that, in my mind, made me go, oh my god, Jake Gyllenhaal is a force to be reckoned with. And if you pick the right role and put him in the right script, he can be absolutely knockout good.
100%. This movie was that for him. It was beautiful. Beautifully done.
I
I agree.
was gonna say then you get other roles where he's an idea, but that's Jared Leto, and I don't know why I got them mixed up.
Oh no, he's Prince of Persia. You can make fun
That's
of him.
right.
I have that Lego set.
The most Swedish man on the planet, Prince of Persia.
Yeah, you can easily make fun of him.
I had that
but
Lego
no.
set.
So my number 5 would be Blind Spotting. We've talked a lot about the themes. However,
So far, that is the only movie that's on all 3 of our lists.
well, it's because it's a fucking banger. That's
know.
why.
Oh, there's another one that's going to be shared, probably.
I think
so.
Literally every scene, it deals with like this conflict between these two guys, and over watching the movie, the conflict slowly evolves, and we're not really sure why it keeps changing. But then during the say the N-word scene, we finally see what the real conflict is and what people like. Not appropriation necessarily, but how people live in certain cultures and the divide there based on who you are versus what you believe yourself to be. The fact that like the movie's premise and conflict and character work keeps evolving even to the very last scene. And the very last scene, not the very last scene, but one of the end scenes is the rap with the gun. That is one of the best scenes I think I've ever seen.
Ever, yeah.
Yep.
It is so good.
This movie is an absolute masterpiece.
Guy's immensely talented.
I'm going to say the word masterpiece a lot as we keep going up the list. But
Yes,
goddamn.
Yeah, I'm
this
going to be
movie
starting
is
to.
so fucking good. So go watch it.
it's fucking amazing.
So number 4, Mud.
My number 4, it's The Lighthouse.
Ah,
It can't not be The Lighthouse.
so banger
It's
time.
too good. It's too fucking good. You just feel it in your bones watching this movie. And we have sucked this movie off a lot this year.
I feel like whenever we walk out of watching The Lighthouse, we all think like, wow, we just watched a classic.
Yes. I remember we saw it, and like you were still in your movie because you didn't see it with us because you had to see Black and Blue.
It's too
And me and
important.
Ian walked out, and we were both just like, whew.
Mud went to the bathroom, and I just sat there like,
Ian sat down. I laid down on the floor, and I was like, I need to process and
Yeah.
decompress
You
because
guys-
that was a fucking experience.
You guys felt like Robert Pattinson did when Willem Dafoe was naked with the lighthouse eyes beaming at him.
Yeah. It was a great screen grab. I want to make that the background on my computer.
With his junk. Oh
With
my
his
God.
dick out, yeah.
So
it is.
good.
That's a great movie.
It's fucking phenomenal,
It's
and I
really
don't want to
good.
talk about it too much because we've talked about The Lighthouse a lot in the past couple months.
have.
But oh my god, it's a marathon to watch this movie in the best way possible.
It might be quality
100%.
content's shared favorite movie. Like this, the
If I had to
Matrix-
pick this, The Matrix, and for now I'm gonna say Twins are probably our holy trinity of like we all love this.
we
That's
all
fair.
put them as bangers. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
My number 4 is a little bit different than Mud's number 4 because it's another 2014 movie. I'm going back to back with these. Whiplash slaps.
yes, it does.
J.K. Simmons rightfully won Best Supporting for this movie. Whiplash is amazing. Just flat out. Miles Teller is so confident in his abilities. And J.K. Simmons is like, fuck you, you suck, be better. He pushes him so fucking hard. I mean so hard in this movie. And you hate J.K. Simmons the whole time while you're watching this movie. You're like, what a fucking scumbag, what a piece of garbage. And at the end, you're like, but I know why you did it. He is so proud at the end. In the end scene, every bit of conflict culminates into this just wild array of just...
As Adam Sandler said,
I'm gonna
I'm gonna come.
Dude, this movie is just an experience. You get to watch Miles Teller get screamed at by J. Jonah Jameson for like 2 hours.
Nice.
And then he's just going ham. And it's just beautiful. This is one of the best character interactions in the past decade for me. That's why I love it so much.
My number 4 would be Get Out. I think that this movie
Movie slaps.
This is my favorite movie of that year, 2017. Jordan Peele made a goddamn masterpice. on
First
his
try.
First try. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's so fucking talented. God, it's the kind of experience that no matter what race you are or where you come from, you're going to go to this movie, you're going to get educated about certain issues, but you're also going to feel for that character, and you're going to feel for these conflicts. And there's a lot of metaphorical things happening. Like, the literal is that there are these crazy brain evil people that put their brains in you or whatever. But if you watch the movie and break down a lot of the sequences and what's happening in those scenes with like certain objects and certain people talking and, you know, color theory and stuff like that, you start to see some really clever things And the more you watch it, and it's one of those movies that I love talking about, the more you watch it, the more things you find that you like. It's every time I watch Get Out, I find something new to love. So, since it's never disappointed, and I know it won't, this is wicked high on my top 10 of the decade list. That's number 4.
So coming off that nuanced story, I feel really stupid. So my top 3, my first, second, and third, are all also films featured on my top 10 of all time list.
Mm-hmm.
So are mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel really dumb because I love this movie so much because it's so much more than what it is. But what it is an action movie, and it's Mad Max Fury Road.
All right. Banger.
I know, I feel so stupid, but at the same time, this movie's so good. It is on my favorite of all time list. Like, if you asked me what my 10 favorite movies are, this would be on that list. It's so well done. The style, it just drips style. And the editing of this film is fucking phenomenal. This movie is what I aspire to be like as an editor if I ever become like a big fucking high-class editor, which I probably won't be. But, like, I love this movie so much. It's a perfect action movie, I would say. It's a perfect chase movie, and there's just the right amount of story and characters in there to get you just completely engaged. It's an action movie that was nominated for Best Picture. Not even John Wick got that.
That's true.
That, to me, is to you guys, John Wick is the standard for an action movie. To me, this is the golden standard of what action needs to be. And I get that not every action movie is going to be post-apocalyptic chase movie, but there's just something about the way it's all done, just the motion of this film. Everything is just moving constantly. That just blows my mind every time I watch it.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I feel stupid because I have to talk about The Lighthouse again because it's my number 3.
We just can't shut our mouths.
I know what your number 2 is then, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you do.
I know the rest of his list is based off that.
I also do.
100%. I think The Lighthouse is a masterpiece. That's it. It is. Remember how I said the second best character interaction for Whiplash? This is the best character interaction. It's the whole movie. And it is brilliantly well done. The dialogue is phenomenal. And I cannot get over how good Willem Dafoe is when he curses Robert Pattinson. And then the rest of the movie is basically just the curse happening to Robert Pattinson. And it is fucking phenomenal. I'm using Jake's word there.
Yeah, pay royalties.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I would watch this film every single day if I could.
My number 3 is Whiplash. Ian, you stole a lot of my points.
It's a banger.
When I watched this when it came out, I knew it would be the best of the year, and then it was. This is one of my favorite movies ever made. It came close to being on my top 10 of all time, much like...
That's fair. Mine, same with me.
Whiplash, to me, is perfection, which is kind of, in a way, even funnier, because the movie is about striving for perfection.
Yep.
I think this movie strives and hits perfection in a lot of areas. Arguably almost every area. J.K. Simmons is one of my favorite performances. I don't know ever, but easily my favorite of the decade.
Oh, 100%.
I think that J.K. Simmons, before this movie, he was like a punchline, Spider-Man, but like after this point, I now see just how fucking talented he can be. And now,
he's still hamming it up, going, Spider-Man!
Yeah, he's still hamming it up, doing the same thing. But I know, like, there's so much greatness in this man, and Miles Teller plays perfectly off him.
Miles Teller, this made me love Miles Teller. That movie made me love Miles Teller, man.
Yeah, the stars really aligned with how great this movie. That's
and
like lightning in a bottle. This movie.
The sad thing is, I don't know if I've liked anything I've seen him in since.
Yeah, he's in a lot of garbage. He got lucky picking this good role. But in any case, Whiplash is an absolute 10 out of 10.
The silver medal. I saw this movie entirely alone. There was no one else in the theater with me. And that, I think, played to its advantage because I was just completely grabbed by this movie and pulled into its world. I'm, of course, referring to Blade Runner 2049. I don't know where to start with this movie. Kay and Joy, love the perfect use of Harrison Ford so that it doesn't feel like they're just ham-fisting Decker into this movie to make people go, hey, you like the Blade Runner movie, don't you? This is the sequel. I don't know his name because I can't pronounce it because it's very French. So Dennis Vaudevillian, is one of the best working directors alive. And the only reason not more of his work is on this list is because this is literally the only thing he's ever done that I've seen in completion. I've seen clips and behind the scenes of all of his other films, and they all look amazing, and I really want to watch them. Ryan Gosling is a character who has no character. There's nothing to K. There's nothing interesting about him. But the way the movie unfolds the psychology of this replicant, and that brief glimpse of hope he has that maybe he is Deckard's son. Maybe he is this chosen child. Only to be slapped down at his lowest point is one of the greatest twists I've seen in a movie. I lurched forward in my seat when the revelation came that it was actually the doctor. It floored me. And then I thought about everything that happened. I was like, that makes complete sense. I cannot stress how amazing this movie is. It's a masterpiece. It's phenomenal. It's everything I think a movie should be.
Mud talked about my number 2 already. I'm mad. I like Mad Max. It's one of the best films ever made. It is my 3rd favorite film ever made. Out of all of film, it is a masterpiece. You summed it up perfectly. It is always flowing. It is always moving. The world, I've seen every Mad Max movie. I don't know if you've seen every Mad Max movie.
I've only seen Fury Road.
I've seen all of them.
I have seen all of them. This world is so interesting. It's amazing. George Miller has created something that is truly special. And this is the best part of it. This story of all of the struggle that they go through. There's a lot of class talk in there as well, with him controlling the water that they get and everything. It is just phenomenal. This movie, there's nothing in this movie where I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It's all just good or great. It's all amazing. There's absolutely nothing I can say that's wrong. When they go into the fucking sandstorm with the red lightning, the visuals in that scene alone.
Oh.
Fucking cream. That is the cream of the crop. That is that good shit. I love that movie so much.
I just had a little thing. Mad Max isn't on my list. But,
You're wrong.
Yeah, I know, because Fury Road is phenomenal, and that movie is just spectacular, and I love every, frame, even the frames that aren't there on purpose of that movie.
Oh, God, that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's like the one use of that fucking trick that actually works. Everything else is all lazy. But yeah, I absolutely love Fury Road. But let me tell you, it pales in comparison to my entire list because I'm better than everyone in the world. Yeah, so my number 2 of the decade is a movie starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. It's the next Jake Gyllenhaal thing that I think really sets him apart as a fantastic actor. It's called Prisoners.
Okay.
I've heard about this.
This is one of my favorite movies ever made. It's a phenomenal character study. It starts out as with a certain person's hold on.
Oh, Jake.
Yes.
Do you know who directed Prisoners?
Who?
Dennis Vaudevillian.
Denis Villeneuve, which is how you say his name.
Yeah, Dennis Vaudevillian.
Yep. So I learned his name correctly because I'm a good person. Prisoners, to me, is a spectacular achievement in what you can do with a simple premise. Hugh Jackman's daughter goes missing in this movie. Absolutely heartbreaking to see. It's this one initial event of a kidnapping where Detective Jake Gyllenhaal is brought in to talk to them and report to them. Hugh Jackman goes absolutely nuts and crazy and starts interrogating people on his own, just as a human being. And he's a regular dad. He's a regular guy, and he's going out of his way to do all these horrible things. And then Jake Gyllenhaal is trying to piece together what's actually happening. It's just this huge cat and mouse game, but with multiple mice, if that makes any sense, and multiple cats as well. And everything kind of works together in this weird, bizarre character drama. And the end of the movie is left ambiguous with something really horrifying, and I interpret that as a positive. I interpret it in a good ending in that sense. Prisoners, to me, is a movie that I think that anyone who likes kind of quiet character studies and dramas should watch. And it is my personal favorite Denis Villeneuve movie, even though I really do like Blade Runner and some of his other stuff.
So my number 1 for the decade is also my favorite movie, full stop. I've seen this movie almost 30 times. And if you've been paying attention, you know that there's only a handful of movies this could be, because I promised that this director would come back. I don't even know where to start with this, but my number one for the decade, my favorite movie of all time, it's Inception. This is the movie that got me interested in filmmaking. I've always been a movie kid. I've always liked watching movies, but I've also always liked watching TV, and for a long time I considered them the same thing. And then I remember watching this trailer for this movie called Inception. And I just sat there watching it while I was watching whatever the fuck I was watching. It was probably like Star Wars, The Clone Wars or some shit. And I was just like, what the fuck is that? And a couple weeks later, the movie comes out. And I convinced my friend Alexis to go see it with me. And we sat in the theater and we watched it. And I was just in awe the entire time. And we left and I was like, what'd you think? And she was like, I didn't like it. I didn't really get it. And I was like, what? It clicked perfectly for me. I understood everything that was happening. And I went home and I started like ranting to my mom about this movie. The next thing I know, for Christmas, she's got me a Blu-ray copy of Inception. That year alone, 2011, I watched the movie 15 times. I kept track. It was an obsession to me. I had never seen a movie like that before because I was like, I don't know, 12. And most of the movies I watched were like crappy kid movies. This was really like when I quote unquote graduated to like real world movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
And it's just stuck with me. And Christopher Nolan is my favorite working director. And everything he touches is gold. Even Interstellar, which I think is his weakest movie, I still really like it a lot. Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic in this movie. It's a side of him we don't really get to see that often, in my opinion, which is more like this like struggling man in a different sense. Like when he struggles, it's more man versus like he has someone to be against, but in this one it's all internal on himself. And I've never really, I might just be talking out my ass and maybe I've never seen the right Leo movie, but this is really the movie I've seen where he's just like he's breaking down and there's really no conflict outside of him. Like everyone on his team works for him perfectly fine, but it's just him being a tough guy to work with. This is the first movie I ever saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt in, and now he's my favorite actor. And this isn't his strongest role, but he does a great job of explaining every high concept that the movie has. This is the first movie I saw Tom Hardy in. He's fantastic as Eames. This is the first movie I saw Ellen Page in. She's amazing as Ariadne. And then I watched X-Men The Last Stand, but that's not the point. The visuals in this movie are amazing. I wrote a paper in the 8th grade about the song Don't Think About Elephants from the soundtrack. I'm not the kind of kid who like cares about movie music. Like in our reviews, Ian will talk about like soundtracks to movies. And I'll be like, it sucked. And I'll be like, I did not notice it at all because I don't listen to soundtracks in movies. It's like probably my one stupid thing that I do personally as a movie fan that you should do that I just don't. I don't pay attention to the music because I don't get music as a person. I'm not musically talented, but I could listen to the Inception soundtrack all day. I can watch videos about the breakdown of how they made it. In high school, my alarm was the wake up song from Inception. That's the level of commitment I had to this movie. It's like if Jake woke up to Wake Up by Rage Against the Machine.
That's what I was about to say.
I used to do that.
Yeah, I know.
It worked really well.
It would literally I forget the name of it. I used to know it, but that French song they play to signal people that the train's about to weigh out. That was my alarm.
Fair enough.
This movie has consumed my life.
Fair enough.
Inception is my favorite movie of all time, and it's my favorite movie of the decade.
I have a feeling that Ian's going to talk about his favorite movie of all time, and then I'm going to be left out because I can't.
Yeah, I feel bad for you, man. Both Ian and I, our favorite movies came out this decade. Your movie came out 20 years ago.
So now I'm going to talk about my favorite movie like a big nerd. My favorite movie on record is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Stylistically, this is what I love in a movie. Edgar Wright is my favorite director of all time. And this movie has everything I would want from style. Zombieland Double Tap, I talked about during the review. Like the little stuff that pops up when they're talking about things. And just like that visual bleed of visuals while they're talking about it. It's almost like a video game. And it is just so much fun. I've watched the movie like 50 plus times. I've seen Scott Pilgrim so many times. I have to go. It's like Zoolander, where Jake has to revisit it every couple of
months or so.
months or so. I do that with Scott Pilgrim. Every like couple of months, I will just go and rewatch it. I love the performances. I love the music in that movie. Not even just like the movie soundtrack, but the songs that they made for the movie. Fucking slap.
They do. I listen to Threshold when I'm driving sometimes.
It's amazing. The battles, the battle, specifically the Battle of the Bands, is fun and exciting. The movie grips me the whole time. The first time I watched it wasn't even. I didn't see the movie in theaters, sadly. I watched it with one of my friends at his birthday party because it's his favorite movie, and it just stuck with me the whole time. It is something that just hit me a certain way, and I was like clicked into it, and I was like, all right, yes, I love this. It gives me that Chris Evans right at the beginning of Captain America, right where he was starting to be that good boy, where he's like the complete opposite of what he is more known for. Blonde muscles, as someone put it earlier, is just something that I love. From the visual style to the music, Edgar Wright always does well with the music in his movies. That is one of the things that I really appreciate about him, and it's just fun. I always have fun every single time I watch it. It hits me the same every time I watch it. And I always notice new little interesting things every time I watch it. It is something that I just invested in wholly as a human being. That visual style to me and the style that the movie presents it in is why I love it so much. It is just... Ugh, I've never seen something like that before. And it is something that I personally love, and seeing it in that kind of way hit me and made me fully love every second of the movie.
Guys, I'm going to hit you that my movie I'm about to say is not on either of your lists.
All right.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
It's also the only movie on my top 10 of the decade that's on my top 10 of all time. I believe it etches out at number 10 of all time. It is an all-time classic. My number one movie of the decade, the best movie to come out this entire between 2010 and 2019, is a movie that stars one man. It's called Buried with Ryan Reynolds.
I love it.
Fucking love
It's a great
Buried.
movie.
It is entirely hinged off Ryan Reynolds' performance waking up buried alive in a coffin. And all he has is a random cell phone that isn't even his. And he has to figure out why he's in there. He figures out pretty quickly and scramble to call his entire family to help him and also let him know the news. And deal with all kinds of challenges, mostly psychological challenges. Some physical. A snake sneaks into the coffin.
Jesus fuck Christ.
Yup. Yeah, not good. He has a dying flashlight. As the movie progresses, we see that light dim and dim and dim over the hour,
Very, very
2
good.
hours that it takes place. Very scary stuff. I'm not going to tell you if he lives or not, and I'm not going to tell you what happens to the character. Because I don't want you to know. It's that good of a fucking movie. I think this is the kind of movie that it's so hard to not to talk about this movie and not get really excited, because they managed to do literally every single part of this movie with nothing on screen being anything other than just Ryan Reynolds stuck in a fucking coffin. They never escape the coffin. The camera always stays in the coffin. It's just different angles of the coffin. And it's never from the outside, it's always on the inside. It's just him stuck there, and you just descend with this man as he gets... He keeps losing and losing and losing hope, and he'll gain hope every so often, and some other parts of hope that he used to have start slipping away. And... I wish I could... I feel like I'm not conveying how powerful this movie is. It's the kind of movie that everyone should watch at least once. And I'm shocked that no one in this day and age talks about how great Buried is.
It is a really, really good movie.
I feel like it's just forgotten to time. Like, if you don't... It's the first movie that I feel that Ryan Reynolds was in where he was absolutely knockout phenomenal. Like, he was the top tier level of acting that I know he can be. And prior, he's only done, like, comedies or whatever. Or, like, really shitty dramas. This is his first role to me where I saw, wow. And it's still my favorite role by him, where he's just one of the best performers alive. So, Buried.
I agree. I didn't even think about Buried, because it is a banger.
It's 2010, I believe. If it's 2009,
It is 2010.
Fuck me.
Nope, it's 2010. I double checked, because I didn't remember.
Jake, you didn't double check?
I didn't double check. I just remember it being 2010.
That would have been really funny if your top was from 2009. All right, well, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next decade. And hopefully 10 years
All right,
from now...
Dad.
Hopefully we're still alive.
It's the theme of the video.
Yeah, no.
And hopefully 10 years from now, Jake's dead, and me and Ian will be hitting you with 10 more of our favorite films from the decade.
That's the goal, honestly.